Hope you guys are having a great day. I am trying to make sure that I'm going live here on this device, and I'm not sure yet, but I'm checking all things out. Hopefully, everybody is having a good day, which it's almost Christmas, and that's pretty cool because I have not started shopping yet. I'm kidding. I did do some shopping, just not a whole lot. Amazon, everything, because Jesus, that is way easier than going to stores. I remember I used to be one of those guys that would go to they would head over to stores like the day before, which I'm pretty sure I might actually end up doing that this year. But I always forget something in Amazon sometimes just can't deliver on time, and that freaking sucks. But it is what it is. Today, you guys, I'm going to be talking about some questions that I get asked all the time in the Facebook group. In fact, that's what I'm going to be doing here shortly. I'm just going to be pulling up the Facebook group. I'm going to be answering some of these questions that people have on there. If you guys are on this live, that is awesome. I will definitely be open to answering questions from you guys on here too. I just don't know, again, if anybody is live in this call today because it is definitely close to Christmas and a lot of people got a lot of things going on. And I don't expect anybody to be here, but I am sitting here talking to you guys anyway. That's how dedicated I am to this midterm Monday nonsense, right? No, I love being here because I think again it's really I'm really in a really awesome position to be able to encourage and push people to build successful careers for themselves, and it doesn't cost anything, right? You can just listen to these things and kind of soak up the information that's out there, and I get to do that with you guys, and I think that's a very privileged position to be in, and I absolutely love sharing this information with you guys. So I'm super pumped to be here. And again, if you're not here, you're going to be watching this later on. That's going to be cool too. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of information that you're going to get from this call. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into the questions for the day. If anybody has any questions and you're here hanging out, I would love to be able to connect with you. So please feel free to do so. If you are not here today and you're just kind of checking this out, uh, hello to Glover he's in Silicon Valley. What's up, man? Uh, Glover, sorry, Glover. Over in Silicon Valley, it's good to see you here. Actually, I can't see you, but I can connect with you, which is pretty freaking awesome. So I think I might be live on YouTube for the first time ever, and this is pretty awesome. So if anybody does have any questions, thought process, anything like that, today I do this. It's called Midterm Monday, and I've been going live on Facebook now for like months and months and months, and now I decided to finally get connected on YouTube channel, and here I am. So if you guys have any questions about anything, let's talk about it. Let's get into questions. Let's get into the situations that you guys may be running into with your midterm rentals. I'm super excited to connect with you guys on these things. So again, don't sit or don't wait on these questions. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the Facebook group right now, and maybe I can share my screen. I'm going to give this a shot and see if I can actually share my screen here, which hopefully I can. So then you guys can see the questions that come in on this Facebook group. So I'm going to give this a shot. I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to give it a shot. So here we go. Share my screen. I'm going to go to screen here. I'm going to allow it. We're going to go ahead and share this, and we're going to go. Let's see this one right here. Nope, that's not it. This one right here. All right, cool. All right, guys, I'm sharing my screen. Glover, can you tell me if you could see my screen, buddy? I don't know if you can. I hope you can. Can you tell me if you could see my screen? Let me know, Glover, if you could see my screen or not. I think you might be one of the only people that is watching this right now. Which again, I'm just talking to one person, but I think it's sharing right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into this with you guys. There's Grant, my buddy, on there. The first question that we have for the day, and this is actually Kathy posted a really strong situation here. What discount do you offer on monthly stays? A lot of people on this poll here answered 25% for Airbnb. If you're listing your property on Airbnb, are you going to be posting a discount? Are you going to be posting a discount? Glover says yes, you could see it. I would like to get into midterm rentals, but they are high cost to entry. Not exactly, Glover. I'll talk about that here in a minute. But let's talk about this. If you're listing your property on Airbnb, should you be offering a discount? My answer for this is going to be very quick, simple, and it is yes. I believe you should be offering a discount. Let me explain this to you why. There's a psychology of sales that comes along with this. And you guys may be positioned in a way to understand this. Most people that offer discounts, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be a course. It could be something on Amazon that shows their discount. The likelihood of you buying something because of a discount, even if it's not the discount that you want, the likelihood goes up. So let me give you an example right here of what I do. Some of my properties I will list at a higher price point. So say it'll be $8,000 a month for a 30-day rental. I will add a 20% discount. I will add a 25% discount to drop down that price to the exact price that I want. So again, I'm putting it in the way that somebody that is scrolling through the site is going to see a 25 or 30 or even a 40% discount on a midterm rental. And that's because, again, we're selling something, right? I think a lot of times people don't understand. Yes, we're trying to create businesses. Yes, we're doing things. But if you don't understand sales and the psychology of it to this specific degree, it's incredibly important to make sure that you are selling. And again, going back to what we just talked about, this original conversation here is that if somebody has a listing on Airbnb, you have it marked up, and then you add that discount to the price that you actually want, or maybe even a little bit lower than that. Subconsciously, anybody that's searching that web or searching that Airbnb page will see that discount on there and they'll gravitate towards that. I've seen a lot of my bookings get booked through Airbnb just based off of doing that alone. And you can see here, there's people in this poll that have quite a bit of discounts. I mean, 50%, 9% of people that were on that said yes, they had 50% discount. So again, going back to the original thought process, we had a property that's 30 days, 10K, and it's listed for 5. Instantly, people are going to think, holy crap, there's a really good opportunity here for me. There's a chance for me to pick up a property at a much discounted rate. I believe that's a smart way to do things. And I would encourage you guys to do the exact same thing as well. If again, you are, um, listing your property on platforms such as Airbnb, VRBO, all those kinds of platforms like that, 100% you're going to want to add a discount on that. And that's up to you. Again, or we'll go ahead and read the comments here. Some people are saying 25 to 30%. I do actually believe that that is a really good amount. I've actually played around with these numbers before. I went to 50%, I went to 30%, and in reality, it always seemed to work best when it's around 30 to 40% discount. And again, you get to set the price that what you actually want to rent that property for, and then you drop it down whatever percentage to put you into that category where it's say 5K or whatever not. So again, I do believe that there's a lot of people that will book properties based off of that. So again, I think that's a really smart way to go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and jump over to Glover, who asked this question on here earlier. I'm going to go ahead and put this on the screen. Hopefully it'll share more than 10 seconds. I'm new to this with you guys here on um, YouTube. So if you guys are watching on YouTube, what is up? I'm glad you're here. I want to show this longer than 10 seconds. So let's try this again now. Let's show this on stream. Okay, cool. So Glover's basically saying, I would love to get into midterm rentals, but it's a very high cost to entry. Glover, I would say this. It is definitely a high cost if you're going to be buying a property in Los Angeles or San Francisco. Like I'm in Northern California where you could pick up a property for 300,000, 3 or 400,000 that is in a B neighborhood. Yeah, you're gonna have to put 20% down. There are loans that you can get that are less than 20%. So I'd urge you guys to really take a look at different type of uh, loan options. There's definitely stuff that you could pick up for lower. But if I was new starting off, this is exactly what I would do. I would actually not buy a property. I know that's contrary to what most people say. In fact, I didn't think this way for a long time. But if I was starting today, I would actually arbitrage a unit once I got a booking or a person that actually booked my property. So somebody just wrote in the chat box here, is contacting a hospital agency is more profitable than Airbnb? It can be. But that's what I would actually start doing. I would start picking up the phone and dialing local hospitals. I would connect with I would get on Furnish Finder and look at what's called unmatched leads. And on there, I would try to filter through and find the companies that are actually hiring these travel nurses or doctors or orthopedic surgeons, because there's a lot of different type of people that travel and these companies will pay for. There's actually a company called CHG Healthcare. CHG Healthcare, they only hire and pay for lodging of these clinicians and their specialty type clinicians and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. But I would definitely be reaching out to them, trying to find out, again, how you could be of service to those companies. And if you are able to serve them and you are able to bring up a conversation where you have property or you have people that you're connected to in market. So, Glover, what I would do is actually start doing these outbound phone calls, learn about this business, understand it, educate yourself tremendously in this space so that you can get on a phone call with somebody and say, "Hey, I have access to," and this is when you start to connect with different realtors, you connect with different people in your market, you connect with different, short and midterm rental operators that have property. And if you guys aren't in the free Facebook group, get in there because you can connect with each other on there. And I would just basically get the properties and start making those. What I mean by get the properties, I mean you get people that are in your sphere, they're in your market, they have property that's available that might be sitting on Airbnb, that might be sitting on Furnish Finder, that might be sitting on one of these platforms. And then you go get the contract to fill that property. That's exactly what I'd be doing. So I would grab, if there was an insurance claim or a travel nurse or a travel company that was covering the cost of, lodging, I would go after those people in that group and say, "Hey, I got a property. Um, I would love to arbitrage rent your property from you. So if they have it listed for 3 grand, I would say, cool, I'm willing to give you that 3 grand. And I would talk to that company and say, hey, I'm willing to rent this property based off of the average daily rate. This place would rent for $5,000 a month. Now you're able to pick up that property for 3,000 and you're renting it out for five. So you're making that cash flow right away. And that's what we call that, a reverse arbitrage. We're kind of like grabbing somebody else's property and listing it for them and then getting the spread. You're basically, it's kind of like wholesaling. Or you can actually rent somebody's property. So you rent a vacant property and you furnish it yourself, and you are able to do that exact same thing. So I would actually start doing that, Glover. If I was starting today, I would be connecting leads. I'd be connecting with people. I would be networking intentionally, trying to find the right people to work with. Because again, I feel like there's so much opportunity right now where people think they need to have these properties. They think they need to have them in, like they need to buy them. They think they need to. I myself included thought like this at one degree, but now as I see the kind of tide turning and the way that this market is working and how easy it is to make cash and how easy it is to make connections with these companies. Again, if you know what you're talking about, you understand it, and I'm saying it's easy because you'll start to get the ebbs and flows of how it operates, what these businesses are doing, what they're actually looking for, what their budgets are. You're starting to really start to understand the dynamics of what these industries are doing. And when that happens, it really allows you to see things in a different way. It's almost like you get to see the matrix. It's almost like you get to see the opportunities that are in front of you. And that's when you're able to, I don't have to rent or buy a property now. I can now go to somebody in my market and basically arbitrage their place or co-host their place. There's multiple different verticals. I'll have to do a video one day where maybe a live like this where I break down how many different verticals there actually are in this business and how you can start making money in multiple different ways. I mean, one of them is lead connecting, another one's co-hosting, another one's a revenue share. There's like so many different ways to do that. So I would encourage you guys to be super thoughtful on the different ways of doing things. And since Glover's in Silicon Valley, like nothing is cheap there to buy. Nothing is affordable unless you're making. I think the last time I looked, the in order for somebody to actually be able to purchase the property, I mean, you're looking at 400,000. I mean, excuse me, you need to make 400,000 a year, if not more than that. So I think again, there's just a lot of stuff you got to be very thoughtful on. Dylan, your mic is hot right now, buddy. It's pretty loud over there. What's up, dude? Dylan's here. Dylan's my buddy. He just popped in, and I think he just popped out. I don't know where he's at, but he'll pop back in here in a minute. I think he's we're going to be talking about midterm rentals, Dylan. I'm just kind of going through some questions right now. Glover in the chat box had asked, he would like to get into midterm rentals. He's in Silicon Valley. It's super expensive. And I was just basically telling him like, yeah, it's that's a tough market. But I believe that the Silicon Valley, because I'm nearby there, I have property in San Jose. And I think it's one of the premier places to get properties if you're able to get them at a deal. Again, I wouldn't buy there. I would absolutely not buy there unless you already own something there. It's a long term. I might convert it. I probably would convert it to a mid. Yeah, you got to make $500,000 just to be able to afford to buy a property in Silicon Valley. It's fantastic, right? So again, I feel like there is a lot of potential in that market, but also I feel like I wouldn't want to come out of my pocket that much. I wouldn't want to come out at that price point. I think it's just way too much. But again, I would arbitrage. I would find the leads. I would connect the leads. I would start making that cash that way and start building that way so that again, there's the likelihood of me being able to grow into a market that I don't necessarily know by getting connections, by connecting with these companies, by understanding what that actually is. So hopefully, Glover, that makes sense on this discussion here. But definitely, man, I would be really thoughtful about coming into that market, being super thoughtful on how I'm able to connect. And you don't need a property now. You just got to connect. You just got to start connecting with the folks that are in those markets. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense, and I hope it does. All right, we got another question here. I'm going to go ahead and go into that. Let's see. I'm gonna mess up your name. It's GAHDDG. I don't know if that's your name or it's a note here on Facebook, or excuse me, on YouTube. So I'm gonna jump into this question here. He's asking, is contacting a hospital or agencies more profitable than Airbnb? Dylan, what would your thought process be on that? Do you think contacting a hospital and agencies are more profitable than Airbnbs?
Am I still hot mic? Is it super loud?
No, that's better, man.
All right. I don't think the headphone mic is working, but all right. What was the question again?
Question is, it's on the screen right there from JAHDG. I'm on live on YouTube today, dude. I didn't know it was going to go live, and it did. So I'm excited.
Oh,
We got a lot of people here. So
what's the?
basically, yeah. So basically, he's asking, is contacting a hospital and agencies more profitable than the Airbnb? And real quick, Dylan is one of my, he works with me. He's worked with me for a while now. He was a student of my academy for a while, and now is building his own business and has been doing it for a while. And Dylan, what's your thought process there? Is contacting a hospital or agencies more profitable than Airbnb?
1000%, not even a question. Like, just put it this way, right? Airbnb takes 13, 15%. I don't know what it is off the top of my head,
15.
but 15%, right?
Yeah.
So then 100%, even if you got the same booking amount that the consumer's paying of, say it's $5,000, now Airbnb is taking that, 15% off of your money and then charging them, I think, 3% on top of it or whatever it is. So then you're saving the consumer money or the business money by going direct to that business. So
Yeah.
100%, it is better to call the hospitals, call the insurance companies, call everybody, and build those relationships.
Call everybody. Call your sisters, husbands, wives. No, it's true, because here's the thing. Dylan said this earlier, and I want everybody. I'm actually going to create a YouTube video on this. If I had a booking of Airbnb bookings, let's just say in a month I had 10 bookings. Dylan, can you mute yourself while you're sitting there? It's
Yep.
pretty loud. It's messing me up real quick. If I had 30 days on a calendar and there was 12 bookings in the month and it equaled out to $5,000, and I had a 30-day exact same property the next month, 30-day rented, and I made $5,500 as a midterm rental, and I made $7,000 as a short-term rental. If you take out all the cleaning fees, all the percentages, it's actually going to be lower than the price that you made as a midterm rental. So, like, I think a lot of us don't recognize that. You have to look at itemized lines. So you see the short-term rental, it's like cost of turnover. Every time I have a property of turnover, it's around $200 to $300, right, Dylan? You're probably sitting around the same.
Yep, exactly.
So that adds up to be literally thousands of dollars just in turnover fees, consumables, when your midterm rental booking is like way more, it's way more, less of a headache, more profitable, but it does require more work. You're not just listing on a platform. Dylan, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think the biggest thing to highlight, again, sorry if it's loud, I don't know why the headphones aren't working. I think the biggest thing to highlight is the easiest thing to comprehend is the cleaning fee, right? With a midterm rental, what Jesse preaches is that you're going to want to do, depending on your client, I would say, but you're going to want to do a cleaning once a month at the very least. So then if you're doing that cleaning once a month, that's, say it's a $200 cleaning fee, right? You're saving, if you have a turnover every weekend, you're saving $600, maybe more, right? And then that's cutting out of your profit. So like midterm, in that way, you're saving money there, and you might end up making more money. In my case, I made more money when I stopped STRing. So.
Yeah, I did too. And there's certain markets that do really well in the short term space. Like they're gonna kill. Like they're gonna beat the MTR space 9 out of 10 times. And like, the Smokies or freaking, like certain cities like are just gonna kill that way. But again, those aren't the midterm rental markets anyway. So I would be very thoughtful on that. He had a follow-up question here. Let's go ahead and go to that follow-up question. I put it on the screen. That income is fixed, right, with the hospital agencies in Central Florida. Yes, you're gonna pick. You're not going to pick. You're gonna negotiate a price. And what I usually do, and I'm giving you guys, I'm spilling all my beans on how I actually do this here. I
Spill
like,
it.
yeah, I'm giving you guys like my the way I do it. I look at average daily rate. So if I'm competing with like a you know, a Holiday Inn Express or whoever these companies are working with, and a bedroom is $100 a day, or I'm just using an example, and they got 5 employees and they're paying $500 a day to have those employees there. My average daily rate for one room is $100. So now I know that I can go to these companies and start to negotiate with them based off of the amount of bedrooms that are in my property, what the suggested rate is. Keep in mind, go do market research, go to Holiday Inn Express, go to Extended Stay America, who is actually our main competitor in the midterm rental space. See what those properties look like, see what they feel like to be inside, and then you create something that is much better than that. But you're actually going to be basing your price off that. So once you're able to kind of understand where these companies are going, who they're actually, you know, who you're actually competing with, which again, 9 out of 10 times it is the hotel industry, because they have contracts and they're able to get a negotiated rate. But again, you have multiple employees that are staying in these little tiny rooms. And would you want to stay in a little tiny room, 110 square feet for 90 days without anywhere to cook and just a little small, like it's, I just, people don't like to do that. Especially now I see the whole shift with the way people are operating, especially in the travel nursing side. There's a lot of millennials going out and working in these jobs in hospitals, and like they don't want to stay in a hotel. They want to be in like a property. They want to stay in a apartment or a hotel, or excuse me, a apartment or like a property that actually has like a fenced backyard or something kind of cool in it. Not a hotel. We don't want to talk about the hotels here, but Dylan, what's your thoughts on that? Fixed income. Yeah, Florida's a good market too, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. The fixed income is you know, it is what it is. But like, I think what I'd like to highlight too is something you said, right? Is like, I think what's great about midterm, it's you're going to get paid the amount of value you can add to a business, and that's what's really great. Is like, if you're looking at AirDNA or something else that does comping for short-term rentals, it's going to tell you like you're going to make, for example, $60,000, and you're probably not going to have much variance on that in that market. Maybe you can get higher with amenities and things. But in the midterm rental space, right, like Jesse talked about, is like, say you have three construction workers staying in three hotels at $100 a night, and that's low for a hotel. It's $100 times 30 times three, that's $9,000. Now, are we going to save a business money and get it booked for 7,000? That's pretty sweet, and that's not even basing it off any knowledge of any market, right? But you're adding value to that company that probably didn't consider that option.
Yeah,
So
totally.
yeah.
Yeah, and you're kind of doing a little sneak on them. You're finding out like how you can actually, just like Dylan saying, how you can actually support them at a lower wage, which is going to save the company money in the long run, or give their actual employees a space that's comfortable, that's safe. And again, it's not a freaking hotel. Like people don't like staying in hotels. Some do, but I personally don't think it is. All right, Dylan, we got another question here. I like this. This is from City Light Properties. Do you think is a good market for travel nurses, or should you target another group? I think what you're trying to say, City Lights. Maybe you can answer. Oh, in Houston, I just saw the note there. In Houston, yes. Okay, Dylan, what's your thoughts on that? Or you don't have property in Houston, so I might be
I
able
do
to.
not.
Go
I do
ahead.
not have any properties in Houston, and I have never considered it. So take whatever I'm saying with a grain of salt. But I think you need to consider the market in general, right? The COVID, surge of travel nurses and stuff like that has slowed down, and you've probably seen that across the board. I've seen it in my market, and I know Jesse's talked about that on other things. So we need to understand what are the other clientele in the area. So for Houston, I don't know if it's growing, but I would assume those cities are. So I would look at in the construction aspect of like how many buildings are they putting up? Are they bringing in outside crews? And
Mhm.
then considering that, and then the one that's everywhere for sure is the insurance claim front. And being in a city, you're going to have more claims more than likely because there's just more people. So those are my thoughts. I mean, Jesse, I'd love to hear what you think on the travel nursing side.
Yeah, that's a good one. So Dylan's absolutely correct. He doesn't have any property there, but he understands this business and he understands the model. I happen to have property, City Lights, and I like calling you City Lights, by the way, because that's your name on YouTube. Um, I have property there, and over the years, I picked it up in 2020, into 2020, which was right during the height of COVID. Just like Dylan mentioned, we were slammed, dude. Like we were killing it with the travel nurses. In fact, the property that I have is in the Med District of Houston. So it did extremely well for travel nurses that were coming in groups. It did extremely well during 2020 to about 2020, the end of 2022. 2023 rolled around. That market completely just like fell off the face of the earth. A lot of people travel to Houston, live there. It's a freaking awesome city to work there, and there's sometimes there's need for clinicians to come in there, sometimes there's not. If I was to compare Houston market to the Central California market, we are underserved for clinicians in this market. Now, going back to Houston, I think Houston is one of the best markets because it's continuing to grow. In fact, if you look at the growth over the next 10 years in that market, you have a lot of big tech companies that are going there. Dylan just talked about construction and infrastructure things that are happening in Houston. That's happening now. Like those have been happening in Houston for quite some time. Now, this is where you get to be intuitive and you get to think like an investor that is an entrepreneur at the same time, where you start to go find those companies, you start to go find those agencies, whether it's hospital, whether it's health, construction, whether it's infrastructure places, whether it's business travelers working on assignments for a certain amount of time. Those are the people that I'd go after. But yeah, I think, again, this is where I see a lot of people go wrong. And I talk about this all the time. Dylan brings this up as well, that people are super hyper focused on one avatar. And you guys know I hate that word, client, whatever you want to call it. You need to like think like a pie chart, and you're just carving out like travel nursing is going to be 20%. So I'm going to spend time reaching out to unmatched leads on Furnish Finder. I'm going to continue to work on LinkedIn through those companies, the healthcare companies, but I'm also going to go look for business travelers. And City Lights, if you're in Houston, go drive around the city, like go see all the new construction, the high rise things that they're building. Downtown has a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of companies that are building from the ground up. So they need to have engineers. They need to have people that are on assignment for 30, 60, 90, 120 days, or if not longer than that. I would be thinking about how I can actually serve those clients. Now you're adding that other travel industry, travel nurses, 20%, construction, 20%. You want to go after insurance relocation claims that pay the highest. I'm going to make that 35%. I'm going to have, military or whatever, like being a percentage of there too. So you equals out to 100%, but you have multiple different types of clients you're going after, and you're not just putting your eggs in like one individual basket. And I think that's where people really get screwed up, is when they're super specific on one specific type of client. And the likelihood of you being successful on that dramatically goes down when you focus on one client. The reason why I say that is because, and I've watched this happened to me. I put all my eggs in the healthcare industry, and all of a sudden, boom, just like that, it changed. I had to pivot. And luckily I was already doing that. So I would urge you guys to really be thoughtful on the multiple different types of clients at one time, so that you have the ability to pivot into another group if you need to. So you're basically just feeding along, right, Dylan?
Yeah, and another thing you brought up that like I always like to highlight, because I've had a lot of these bookings personally, is that people relocating to your area. So if Houston is having a surge of new business bringing in and like all this other stuff, right? Like, talk to real estate agents. They know people who are looking for housing or trying to buy houses, and sometimes some companies will pay like relocation packages and stuff like that to get to the city. So that's another great client that not a lot of people talk about, but it's out there. And I've had like 3 or 4 of those bookings so far, and they're great. So
Yeah, it's awesome. And again, I think the travel nursing industry sounds like sexy. It sounds like, yeah, I'm going to be able to get this. Everybody needs that. Yes, I think there are certain pockets in the U.S. that have a tremendous need. Central California being one of them. Bakersfield all the way up to Sacramento, past Sacramento. Those markets are going to kill 99 all the way up to 99, because there's a huge lack of clinicians here. But then you go to Los Angeles, or you go to San Francisco, or you go to maybe even Houston, that market might dramatically drop. So again, you got to be super, super thoughtful on the types of clients you're going after. So, okay, cool. Hopefully that was a long-winded answer. Dylan, we went a little long on that, but I think it's just important for everybody to really understand that there's a lot of nuances to this business for sure. All right, next question is from Emmanuel. What's up, Emmanuel? He says, how do you build credibility if you're starting a co-hosting service from scratch with no experience? Dylan, I know you have the answer for this. That's a good question, Emmanuel.
I think the best way to do it is by I always go back to leading with value. So, Emmanuel, like, if you have one property, like, that is enough to start in the midterm rental space to start generating leads. And now what you do with those leads, or you start connecting with other hosts in your area, and now you're going to start building that co-hosting network. Just like you're going to have too many leads, because right on average you're going to need 3 to 4 a year to book your place. And if you're generating those leads enough, that co-hosting kind of just comes naturally. Like I'm sure Jesse's talked about it in the past. Is like he didn't like jump into this thinking like I'm gonna co-host other people's property. It just kind of happens because you like end up having with all these leads because there's demand for what this is. And so concentrate on building that B2B relationship first, and that co-hosting is going to come naturally.
Yeah, I agree to that. And then to be able to build credibility, this is where you have to be able to spend the time, energy, and resources, which is time and energy and resources, to get to know this industry like the back of your hand. Like if I just met you in a grocery store today, Emmanuel, and you're going through my line, I'm the cashier, and you start talking about, travel nurses or these people and these things and these opportunities and what's happening. And if I have a rental, like I'm gonna be able to hear what you say, Emmanuel, and then like recognize that this guy knows his shit. Like this guy knows what he's doing. He understands his business. I'm going to follow your social credibility on the internet, which is you guys are watching this here right now. You might have a YouTube channel, you might have an Instagram where you just talk about it. Even if you're just getting in the game, I can't tell you how important that is to have. In fact, I have a student that just got a 40, Christine got that 40 unit deal. Were you in that class when she talked about that, Dylan?
I don't think so.
So check this out. She didn't have a score yet because her business is less than a year old. It's one of my students. Her name is Christine. In fact, on the YouTube channel, there's a whole video on this specific topic right here. She got credit. She went to a landlord and asked the landlord if she can rent 40 units because she got Amazon warehouse that was being built. All those employees that were building that were going to stay. She needed to have 40 doors. So she went to an apartment complex and was like, "Hey, this is crazy. I know it sounds weird, but I need to rent 40 doors from you because I just got a contract with Amazon and they want to rent 40 doors from me. And I need you to rent me these properties so that I can sublease them out to this company." And the owner of that building, he had like an 80 unit complex. He was like, "You don't even have a credit score. Why am I gonna listen to you?" And she said, "Go to my LinkedIn." Gave her the LinkedIn profile. Go to my Instagram and check it out. She's been posting. Not that she's landing on these contracts, but she's just been posting about what she does. And this is why social proof is so important. You don't have to be perfect at everything, but if you just start talking about things and you put it on the internet, just like I'm doing right now, and you start to know what you're talking about and you feel confident with it, like I just want you guys to realize that she got 40 units without having a credit score from her business. Like most companies would never lend like that. And guess what? That owner of that 40 unit, 80 unit building now is super stoked with her because she pays on time. She's got a contract for 2 years. It's not even just like a 3 month thing. This is like multiple different years as they start to build this out. And again, how big you think is how big you're going to be able to grow. I believe that like this is a really important piece of growing these businesses, and social proof is such a big part of it. Again, like she wouldn't have been able to land that kind of deal without having a credit score to back up 40 units, but she was able to do that just because she was posting on Instagram, which I think is wild to think about. Like, because we don't think about it like that, right? It's like embarrassing. We're getting out posting stuff and it feels uncomfortable sometimes. And yeah, trust me, like I feel like that too, even right now. But again, at the end of the day, it's like you're building the social proof, and somebody else that is maybe going to work with you potentially, that is going to work with you potentially, can watch your YouTube or your Instagram or just watch you like the Gary Vee style where he's just documenting what he's doing. You don't even have to have it. You're just documenting what you're doing through video. And all of a sudden you get a contract. Like that's freaking wild to me. Dylan, what's your thoughts on that? You weren't in class that day to hear that.
No, I mean that's amazing, and like one, I'm not surprised because I know Christine like very well, and like two, it's just like right, like Jesse's talking about is like what Christine and her business partner Katie French have done, and she has another one. I always forget her name, but they basically built their business so fast because they were constantly adding value of securing these contracts. And then when she would go to meetups, they would ask, "What do you do?" And she's like, "Oh, here's what I do. I do midterm rentals," and talk about it like Jesse said. If you're like that person at the cash register, and they could tell she knew what she was doing, and then people have essentially just given her properties. Like please just take these off my hand. I can't deal with it. Like that's what's going to happen. Like when you show that credibility, that is what's going to happen. And I'm sure Jesse gets DMs on a regular basis being like, "Hey, will you host my property?"
Yeah. I do get DMs like where that happens all the time. But again, like here's the crazy part of this, and this is like an offline conversation that I had with Christine. Hopefully, she doesn't get mad at me for sharing this. But like, she's now just based off of her internet social credibility. She just started doing this year. She joined the mentorship, understood how to do things on a very deep level. she's now going to have ownership in the next property that this guy buys, because she's now going to certain areas to find where there's going to be an Amazon, where there's going to be a new building, getting a contract first. And then he's got money. He's going to buy those, 20, 30 unit buildings, and she's going to supply them with the best clients. And now she's going to actually have ownership in that actual tangible real estate, which is freaking wild, because all she's doing is trading her expertise, knowledge to get the bookings. And the guy on the other end, who's the landlord, who's the investor, is giving her that, like, because she's already done it. So now she's actually getting to own, multi-million dollar properties. She's doing the work. She's doing all the stuff. Like, of course she's going to want to work with her. So again, I want you guys to be able to think big enough where this is absolutely something you could do, where you can own something. You're putting the sweat equity in, you're learning how to run the numbers on these properties. You're creating contracts and connecting with these companies, and you're building these relationships that have multiple years of, leases. A landlord is going to see that, they're going to understand that, and they're going to give you, if you want that, they're going to give you the opportunity to invest with them. And that doesn't mean money out of your pocket. That means sweat equity. Like, I would take that all day long and putting my money up.
Yeah,
I,
and then on top of that, Jesse, is like the commercial, value of homes is based off of that revenue amount that property brings in. So if she does that on a property, and I think I've actually saw a YouTube video that you talked about this, is like now that property is now going to be worth way more money because it's bringing in more revenue because there's a higher contract amount.
Yeah, the thing with multifamily, multifamily buildings is that if you get the higher cash flow that you get, it raises the net operating income. So now, if you bought a property for 1.5 million and you bring in higher rents, you're collecting higher rents. Now your cap rate's going to go up, right? So now that property could be worth 2.5 million because you're getting contracts that are in there for the next couple of years. You can actually sell that multi-unit property, that commercial unit, for a higher price point now, because your rent that you're collecting is a lot higher. And I think this is like the second wave of what you're going to start to see in real estate, where these really intuitive investors are like super like intentional. Like, I'm going to go after exactly what Christine's doing. I'm going to go after these contracts. They're going to be multiple years. I'm going to buy property with an investor that's got the capital. I'm going to put the work in. I'm going to own part of this. And then now I'm actually going to continue to do this in different places and sell that property for an additional, sell it in a year or two and be able to get that extra income because you have higher net operating income on a property. It's a commercial unit. And that's freaking wild, like, to be able to do something like that. And I think, again, that's a big part of growth in this space. So, okay, cool. Hopefully that answers the question. Dylan, we got another question here. I want to make sure we're staying on time. This is from Mari. Hey, Mari. She says, I'm in Tacoma, Washington, and I was wondering how I keep my place occupied. I noticed I get 1 or 2 tenants every other month. Dylan, what's your thoughts on that? And I would actually like to have a conversation with Mari if she's able to do that.
Yeah, I was about to say it's really hard to answer that question without knowing the full situation of what you're doing, Mari. And what I mean by that is, like, are you on Airbnb and Furnish Finder and VRBO and that's it? Like, because then I would give you different direction. If you're, connecting with businesses and all that.
Let's ask her right now. Let's ask Mari, where are you listed? What platforms are you on? Sorry, Dylan. I just wanted to go ask while she's on here. Maybe we can get these answers. Keep going, dude. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. Yeah, no, because then the other advice I would give for that, if you're like on that, is like you need to start reaching out to insurance, construction, those things that we talked about in the same situation with Houston. Start reaching out to those people. Now, if you're doing all that and you're still on those platforms, the advice I would give is keep going, because it's not going to happen in the first month or maybe 2 months. Maybe it takes a year, but like, consistency is the key in this business. Is like, 12 emails down the line, somebody's like, wow, this chick Mari or this person Mari is like not giving up. And like, why do they keep emailing me 100 times about their property in Tacoma? Like, that's gonna say something. All right, I'm getting distracted because the security's yelling something. You got it.
Yeah, no, you're good. I totally agree. I think, again, where are you listed at? What platforms are you on? This is where most people I see fail in this business, is that they list on platforms, Mari, and then they're sitting on their hands waiting for somebody to book. Like, that's the recipe to no longer have a business in the next year or two, because you're getting staggered bookings randomly. And again, keep in mind that a lot of people, and another thing too, Tacoma, Washington's a great market. Like, it's a market that is growing. It's always done well. You guys have isn't that where the cheese is at? Isn't that where they make the cheese? I think there's a lot of cheese out in Tacoma. I could be wrong. I think there might be another market. But anyway, Tacoma, I know people that have midterm rentals there, and they've continued to grow. But again, they're they're really focusing on growing. After they're going after these companies, they're going after. And the reason why I brought up cheese is because I think one of the guys that has a midterm rental there got a contract with some company that does cheese in Tacoma. I don't remember exactly what he said, but he contracted with the company where they have um, somebody that comes and works on like their cheese factory or some crap out there. Mari, you can correct me if I'm wrong or know if there's a cheese factory in Tacoma. But anyway, that's what he's like. He literally has a contract with this company that has people coming in. Again, that's where you have to be really thoughtful. Mari responded. She said, Airbnb, Furnish Finder, and I also connect with insurance companies. Okay, cool. So you're starting that right now. So I would encourage you to update your listing on Airbnb. We talked about a discount today. So up the price on your property and then offer like a 30 or 40% discount to bring that dollar amount to what your property is, to, the dollar amount that you want it to be. So it shows somebody has that significant value of like, if I book Mari's place, I'm going to be saving 30 or 40%. They start to think like that. Again, that's psychology of sales. We do it, I was actually just reading a report. Cyber Monday, everybody thinks they're getting a deal. Like, in fact, a lot of these companies will mark prices up and they'll just tell you they're giving you a deal. That's freaking wild. Go ask ChatGPT that. You'll see what I'm talking about. This is very common. A lot of companies do that. So we subconsciously think we're getting a discount on something, but in reality, we're getting a price point that's higher. Use that same process, so that same analogy with what you're doing with your midterm rentals. You should be listing higher on platforms, offering a discount that brings it down to the price that you want, if not maybe even a little bit more. And subconsciously, the people that are booking that are realizing, oh, we're getting a good deal on this. I would also just drive for dollars, go around town, see what companies are out there. I would start to connect with unmatched leads on Furnish Finder. I would be calling the local hospitals. I would try to be connecting with specifically with restoration companies in your market. So if somebody loses their home due to a fire or flood, you're actually connecting with those restoration companies to find out about these potential properties before they're starting to get into the cycle of the ether, where they're reaching out to all these different companies. So there's a lot of different ways that you can start to build on that end. But yeah, Mari, that's what I would really be doing. Go ahead, Dylan.
Yeah, it's definitely all that stuff that you just mentioned. It's I'm sorry you're having to deal with like the one every other month. First off, like
Yeah.
it's tough. It is tough, but like right, that's why a lot of the things we talked about today is like diversifying who you're going after, like doing the searching for B2B relationships and connections. Like that is why you know Jesse harps on that stuff, is because of this specific situation that happens. It's gonna happen. It's probably happening to Jesse currently, and it's happening to me currently. Like, and
Yeah.
we know what we're doing, but like at the end of the day, it's going to vacancies happen. It's part of the business, but right, like you got to keep moving forward and keep going.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I definitely make sure you have money aside for when it slows down. She just wrote on here. Mari said, I had a listing from up this a street paving company from Riverside this summer. Awesome. Like, you're gonna get little tiny things like that. I think markets slow down. She just wrote that on here too, Dylan. She wrote, but it's been slow since the fall and only had one Airbnb listing this fall. I would encourage you to play around with the numbers on Airbnb. I'd list on VRBO, which I think you're not on already. I've actually got one of my biggest bookings of the year came from VRBO. It's a $60,000 booking from from VRBO, which is wild. So list on there. I'd go after unmatched leads, and I'd be super intentional about actually spending 5-6 hours a week on this part of your business to get your property booked. And I know that might sound like a lot, but that's like maybe 5 or 10 calls a day where you're trying to connect with people that may potentially come into your market. Again, cheese factory. I don't know anything. I just know there's a cheese factory in Tacoma. That's how this guy ended up getting a contract with a company out there. So again, there's a lot of opportunity. You just got to go looking for it.
Yeah, Mari just wrote, I do price labs on Airbnb. So yeah, I mean, that's great. Definitely use that pricing strategy and everything like that. But Jesse said, like maybe mark it
After
up
the
on price
discount.
labs, make your minimum and your base higher, and then put that discount in. So maybe it creates some traction. Change up the initial photo that you have, featured photo. Like do all these like little things, because you never know why. Maybe it's the algorithm of Airbnb, and this is personally why I'm not a huge fan, I won't say in other words,
Yeah.
of it, because at the end of the day, they want to keep people on their platform and doing playing by their rules essentially.
Yeah, Airbnb owns you when they're on their platform, right? You're just listing on their platform. It's like you know how everybody talks about Instagram and like TikTok, if they have businesses on there and all of a sudden TikTok shuts down, which it might in January, and all of a sudden people that have TikTok businesses are like SOL, right? That's why you need to have an email list so that you can continue to email the people that you're going after. This is the exact same concept where you're actually building that Rolodex. Airbnb is just allowing you to list the millions of people all across the world. But in reality, you want to actually create that email list, which is your direct bookings. Like those are the people that you want to be connecting with. So I just want to make sure you guys get that analogy and understand like it's one thing to be live on here. It's another thing for me to have your guys' email because now I can directly connect with you. You can get my newsletters. That's the whole concept behind the direct booking phase. Because again, if not, we're just employees of Brian Chesky, right? We're owned by he owns our listings. We just are listing on his platform, and that's a wild place to be. That's you don't want to be in that position long term.
Use the tools, don't rely on them, I think is the theme.
Yeah, yeah. Use the tools. Don't rely. 100%. I'm with you on that. 179,000%, Dylan. All right, we got another question from JAHDTG. He says, "Have you guys encountered a bad guest on Airbnb? I work with a property manager. Things went bad. I renovated the single-family home. I'm trying Furnish Finder, but it's really dry so far in Central Florida." Dylan, what's your thoughts on that? Bad guest on Airbnb?
Yeah. Short answer is yes. When I'm filling vacancies because of the certain markets where vacancies happen, like I talked about, and we're taking short-term rental guests for that time while we're looking for midterm rental guests. I've had almost consistently people taking things or
Yeah.
stuff going missing, damage to the property, and I've never, literally never, and it's like crossed my heart. I've never had an issue with a midterm rental guest doing any type of damage. I've had issues on another front. And I think I talked about that on Midterm Monday previously, but like that issue was like, I would rather kind of deal with that than when I'm dealing with damage and stuff going missing, because then it's just like obnoxious.
Yeah. Anytime you're on any platform, the likelihood of you getting your place screwed up or lost or dishes stolen or cups taken or freaking Vitamixes missing or, you know, what is this, a ninja freaking thing? Like you're going to have that stuff happen. That's part of the game. You're going to always miss stuff. Now, here's where it's really important that you're thoughtful. Like you got to make sure that you're taking guests that have good reviews. This is where I would do a lease with somebody. I wouldn't just take an Airbnb listing. I'd get a lease with them from that platform because that's going to protect you. You have an investment that you paid thousands of dollars to pick up. You need to make sure you're connected. Airbnb doesn't care if you have a lease or not. They're not going to kick out these people for you. They're not going to do anything for you. So you have to be extremely thoughtful on that end when it comes to those kinds of things on these platforms. So yeah, I think again the nature of the beast. You're going to have people like that come in. I would be asking a ton of questions like, what's the nature of your visit? Do you mind sharing me whenever I do a lease with these people? I'm making sure that I am asking, who's your employer? We'll contact the employer, just like if it was a long-term lease. We want to make sure that we have somebody that's honest, truthful, that we're running background checks on that, because Airbnb doesn't do background checks, right? They don't care. You don't know who's staying in your property unless you do a background check. So
just an ID verification. That's it. I'm pretty sure.
yeah, and not only that, but the ID verification that comes from Airbnb isn't even accurate. Like I've opened up multiple different accounts with one ID and different names, and I did it to make a YouTube video about it, which I need to finish that video so I can get it out to you guys.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's you got to be super careful, and again, that's why I really encourage you guys to be thoughtful about that. But yeah, you're always gonna have bad. It's part of the game. You gotta know that. It's hard to get away from that. But the more questions you ask, the likelihood of you being able to answer or understand somebody exponentially goes up. The better questions you start asking: what's the nature of your visit? How long are you on assignment for? Who's your boss? Who's your daddy, and what does he do? That's from a movie. What is that movie? I forget. It's with Arnold. Twins? Is it Twins with Joe Pesci and
Kindergarten
Cop? That's right. Never mind. Kindergarten Cop. Damn it. That's right. I forgot about that movie. I got to watch that again. But anyway, ask questions, right? Ask questions just like Arnold did in Kindergarten Cop. Okay, so Kevin's got a question here. Kev, we're going to go to you. And I think this one might be one of the last ones. And I see Mari has a note on here. So let's jump into this. Kev, this is a good one. We had our first pitch with a local corporation bringing on board members into town for 40 days. They said we were the top option, but thinking on it for a few weeks. How can I go above and beyond?
What was the, I guess like what it was included in that conversation, and like, did it say what kind of clients they are?
No, he just said that they were corporate board members coming into town.
Yeah, I mean, I would tailor it to specifically that business, right? So if it's like, let's just say hypothetically, it's a construction crew. Like maybe it's Red Bulls or energy drinks of some type, and like saying like, hey, we'll supply you guys once a month with a thing of Red Bull or whatever. That's the only thing I can think of in my head right now.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but like that's like a little thing that you can implement. Maybe it's like someone who's bringing a dog, like you could be like, hey, we'll supply you with, a dog bed and all these other things, right? And like people have customized that specific stuff to those specific clients. I think it's just being thoughtful about the client you're serving. And so I could keep on going, but like those are just a few examples. What are your thoughts, Justin?
I think that's good too. Like, you can lower deposit, Kev. So you can like come in at a lower price point. You can be like, instead of having the first last month's rent, we can put a deposit down to $1,000, or we can even do no deposit and pick up Wavo or something like that. Like we can bring you guys in with no deposit. Just like Dylan said, you can bring in, you can get amenities that they might want. I personally would be putting together like a package where I would look at multiple different types of other midterm rentals that aren't up to par with your property. I would look at the hotels and what their average daily rate is, and I would come in with like a package and say, hey, I just want to give you an update on the market. Here are 3 things that I noticed, just so that it gives you a little bit of enlightenment to where we're actually doing in the space. First one, we're actually cheaper than hotels. If you look at the average data rate of hotels, and you have this data like on a dashboard or on like a pitch deck or something, and you just basically say Holiday Inn Express, $149 a night. With the discount, it's $122 a night plus parking fee, whatever it is, blah 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 blah. That equals out to X amount of money a month based off the people that you're bringing in. Other midterm rental operators, you can pick like 2 places that are maybe not as nice. Where's the job site they're going to? How close are you? So you're able to start to like package something specifically to them where you feel like you're more almost like a concierge on the ground. I think this is where us boutique operators, especially if you're building a business out of this, you're able to like really have boots on the ground that are able to support these people while they're at the property. I think those are a lot of really important things to do. And Kevin just wrote on here, it's a 40-year-old board member and his German automotive company. 40-year-old board member and his family, German automotive. Okay, cool. Yeah. Do they need baby gates? Do they need? Are they bringing a pet? Are they bringing? Like, what do they actually need? Do they need high chairs? Do they? What schools are they going to go to? I would go in and be like, hey, these are the best schools in the market. They're AY, ABC. They're actually in my backyard. So I would start to think about it again like a business, like you're packaging something specifically to them.
Yeah, I think Jesse, what you're highlighting is one, you're adding value, and 2, you're making their decision the easy as possible because you're presenting all the info, right? If you're doing all that, it's going to be like, well, this guy, like, wow, if this is how he's treating me before I'm a client, what is it going to be like when I am, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yep. And I would also do like, hey, you guys are coming in, your automotive industry, is there a car rental? Do you guys have a car? In fact, I have a vehicle that we actually will rent to people. It's on Turo. We can actually give it to you guys for half the price that we would normally rent it out for. For the next 40 days, you might be covered. You might have to talk to your attorney and put together a whole umbrella policy or whatever it is. But like, Kev, this is where you start to think in that entrepreneurial way of like, how can I actually serve these people where I'm getting paid what I want? I'm serving the needs, just like Dylan just mentioned a minute ago. I'm actually creating value for these folks. I'm giving them more opportunities, and you're being super presentful when you're, presenting this deck. You're bringing other data, and people love data. And again, you're not nagging them on stuff. You're just like, hey, I want to update you on what's actually happening in this market right now. Here's 3 things that we could talk about. If you got 7 minutes to go through it, I'd love to go through it with you. And just to talk with you about this, there might be something about it. We might be able to throw in a little package at the end that might be really helpful for you guys. Do you mind jumping on a call to discuss this? And that package could be everything we just talked about and the potential for a rental car if that's what they wanted. It sounds like he's working for a company. You might get a car already, but again, you're bringing value, just like Dylan said. I think the more value you're able to bring, whether it's transactional or not, at least you're giving something. And I think that's really important to think about when you're getting in these businesses. Again, they're going to be talking to other people. What are they actually getting from them? Are they bringing the same kind of value? Are they coming in with presentations? Is it just a phone call? Are they actually bringing amenities in to serve the children that they're bringing? Are they putting baby gates up? All kinds of stuff. You got to be thinking like that 1 step ahead, 2 steps ahead, where everybody else is not even thinking about that.
Yeah, Kev, to Jesse's point right there is like, I bet you this guy has reached out to like, let's just say it's 10 properties on Furnish Finder. 99 of the 10 of them, I bet were like, here's first month's, last month's rent and security deposit. Let me know if you want to move forward. And that's all they said, right? And like, we just gave you probably like 20 different things to do to separate yourself on a whole nother level. And like, it's not that much work, but it's providing that much more value.
Yeah, yeah. Not only that, but it gets you better for the next time that you talk to another company. And I can't even tell you, Kev, already how, kudos to you for talking to a company already. And then like you're just trying to figure it out now. But this is where we get to come in and have these conversations with you. And at least it'll give you a little bit of insight of like, okay, cool. Like I just need to shift the way that I think and more of a business mindset rather than just like a pick my place kind of mindset. A lot of people do that. They'll have that like, I just want my place booked instead of actually bringing that business concept, that business idea, that business acronym, the sales portion, which is you crafting and negotiating a deal, that's sales, right? And then you merge those two things, the negotiation with sales, the business acronym with sales, and now you're like a fully rounded company, and it might only just be you as a solo entrepreneur. Like that's what the modern day investor is. Like it's just so cool to start to see it kind of come to life like this. And again, I think there's more and more people that are going to be doing exactly what we're talking about here. They're going to start to understand it in a different way, and they're going to be winning in the next 3 to 5 years when this market continues to grow. So you guys have been awesome. Dylan, I want to get out of here. Do you have anything else to talk about, or you want to? No,
I'm all good. I think the only thing to add, just one more thing on that, Kev, is like that next level is just going to be like, hey, do you have more people coming into this area? How can I better serve your company? Right?
Yeah.
Like once you already do get this guy in and start thinking like on that level, because now you're thinking like, even if you don't have that property, who do you know who might have a property for us?
Yep. And I think the biggest thing out of all this, Kev, is to make sure that you're thinking about this about relationships first. Put your property in the back burner. If you're able to build a relationship with this automotive company, and maybe you don't make that much money from this deal, but you build that relationship in the next 5 years, that relationship that you've built by just taking less income from this first one is going to serve you 5, 6, 10 times by just you providing value. These 40 days might not bring you that income that you want right away, but the next 3 years, the next 5 years, the next 10 years will. And again, those relationships, I believe relationships are the new currency. When you think about things on the business acronym and what those relationships will pay you over time, it's dividends. Like you'll get paid so much more than chasing that big paycheck for that one. So I'd encourage you to really be thoughtful on that, to think ahead. You're thinking around the bend already, and Dylan and I are giving you these little kind of nuggets to help you think in a different way. But again, this is what we do. This is what I do. I teach people how to do this. Dylan went through the whole process. I'm giving you guys this for free. If anybody's interested in joining the community that we built that has over 500 people that have helped build successful midterm rental businesses, I'd urge you guys to reach out to me. I would love to connect with you. I'd love to work with you guys. I love watching people build successful businesses, especially when they don't think they can or they don't have the support. That's exactly what we're here to do. And I've kind of put together a framework. It's called the CREM method. And the CREM method basically is having community, resources, education, and mentorship. People that are winning right now in this space have those 4 principles. They have those 4 pillars. And that's what I'm watching people really build, and how they're building their successful businesses is by having those 4 things. So again, if you guys are interested in that, I'd love to work with you. Next year, start off strong, get in the right position, get around the right people that are going to push you in that direction. And again, relationships, I believe, are 10 times more important than taking in that big, dollar cash flow from day one. You got to think about it in the longer term and how it can actually serve you. So I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful Christmas. Happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, all that other stuff. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, Dylan.
Appreciate Thanks, it, buddy. You too.
You too, man. Yeah,
I appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you too, man. Thanks for hopping on. I know you're a busy guy, and she shows up. We do this stuff for free. We're not asking for money or donations or anything. We're just here spreading the knowledge so you guys can build your businesses. It's freaking cool to do, man. I appreciate you for jumping on here with me and everybody else on here, and everybody that showed up and hung out today. Freaking awesome. Have a great rest of your year. Every Monday we go live at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So we'll see you next week, and I'd love to connect with you guys. So see you, Dylan. Peace out, buddy.
Peace.
Bye, guys. Stay safe, everybody. Dylan, hang on. Let me see if this ended already.
It paused.